Hello, resilient English learners, and a very warm welcome back to Podcast English. I'm absolutely delighted to have you join us today as we continue our incredible journey of mastering English. At Podcast English, our core mission is to make your language learning experience not just effective, but truly captivating and profoundly inspiring. We meticulously craft compelling narratives designed to significantly boost your listening comprehension, enrich your vocabulary, and help you grasp more intricate English grammar in a natural, immersive context. Today, we're venturing further into our adventure at level B1. This means you'll encounter an even richer tapestry of nuanced vocabulary, more elaborate sentence structures, and a slightly quicker, yet always perfectly clear and supportive storytelling pace compared to our A2 narratives. Our primary aim is to offer a stimulating, yet entirely achievable challenge, empowering you to build confidence and fluency with every listen. And as always, our stories are more than just language lessons. They deliver profound messages and timeless life lessons that deeply resonate with real human experiences. The challenges of being lost, the journey of self-discovery, and the power of inner strength. Today's adventurous story is about getting lost, about finding your way not just physically, but emotionally, and about listening to the quiet wisdom within. It's called The Whispering Woods and the Lost Path. So open your ears and your heart, listen closely, and let's explore this winding path together. Deep in the countryside, far from the noise and rush of cities, lay a vast ancient forest known as the Whispering Woods. It earned its name because, when the wind blew through its countless trees, it created a soft, continuous, rustling sound, like thousands of voices whispering secrets. The trees were incredibly old, their branches reaching high into the sky, their roots forming a thick, tangled carpet on the forest floor. Sunlight struggled to reach the ground, creating patches of dappled light and deep shadow. Few people dared to venture deep into the Whispering Woods, for its pathways were famously winding, easily lost, and sometimes led to unexpected, isolated clearings. It was a place of mystery and ancient beauty, both inviting and a little intimidating. Ilara was a young woman who loved nature. She often escaped the demands of her busy city life by hiking in the mountains or exploring quiet trails. She found peace and clarity in the natural world. She was generally confident and capable, always prepared with maps and supplies. However, she sometimes felt a little lost in her own life, unsure of her future path, struggling with decisions about her career and where she truly belonged. She often hoped that spending time in nature would help her find answers, a quiet path forward for her own uncertain journey. She knew that some of the most profound lessons often came from moments of quiet reflection, something she'd learned from many of the thoughtful stories on Podcast English. One crisp autumn morning, Ilara decided to explore a new, less-known section of the Whispering Woods. She had heard stories about a hidden waterfall deep inside, a place of rare beauty. She packed a small backpack with water, some snacks, and a compass. She had a basic map, but it didn't show all the small, winding trails. "I'll just follow the main path for a while, and then look for signs of the waterfall trail," she thought. The air was cool and fresh, carrying the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. The leaves on the trees were turning golden, red, and orange, creating a spectacular display of color. It was a perfect day for an adventure. Ilara started her walk with confidence. The main path was clear at first, winding gently through tall pine trees. The whispering sound of the wind through the branches was peaceful. She enjoyed the solitude, the feeling of being completely surrounded by nature. She saw squirrels scurrying up trees and heard the cheerful chirping of birds. After about an hour, she saw a small, unmarked side trail leading deeper into the forest. It looked narrower, more wild, and seemed to lead in the direction of the waterfall, according to her instincts. "I think this must be it," she decided, and turned onto the new path. She was eager to find the hidden waterfall and experience its beauty. However, the small path quickly became overgrown. Thorn bushes scratched at her trousers. The trees grew closer together, making it darker. The path began to disappear, fading into the thick undergrowth. Elara consulted her compass, but the dense canopy of trees made it difficult to get a clear reading. She tried to retrace her steps, but the trail behind her seemed to vanish as well, swallowed by the forest. Panic began to bubble up inside her. She was lost, truly lost. The familiar whispering of the woods now sounded less peaceful and more menacing, like mocking voices. She walked for what felt like hours, trying different directions, pushing through thick bushes, but every path led nowhere. The sun, once high in the sky, was beginning to dip, and the shadows in the forest grew longer and deeper. She felt a growing sense of fear. Her water was running low, and her snacks were almost gone. She called out, "Hello! Is anyone there?" But only the echoing silence of the woods answered her. She realized that she had been overconfident, relying too much on instinct without a reliable map. The beautiful adventure had turned into a frightening challenge. She thought of her past over-reliance on external guidance and how this mirrored her struggles in choosing a life path. As darkness began to settle, a chill filled the air. Elara knew she couldn't keep walking aimlessly. She needed to find a safe place to spend the night. She found a large, old oak tree with a wide, hollow base. It wasn't perfect, but it offered some shelter from the cold and potential wild animals. She gathered some dry leaves and twigs, trying to make a small, makeshift bed. She felt utterly alone, completely vulnerable. Tears welled up in her eyes, not just from fear, but from a deeper feeling of being lost in life, a feeling that this physical situation was mirroring her emotional one. She felt like she had taken a wrong turn, both literally and metaphorically. She closed her eyes, trying to calm her racing heart. She remembered a survival tip she had once heard. When lost, don't panic. Breathe. Think. Trust your senses. She remembered a podcast English story about a character facing a big challenge and how they used inner strength to find solutions. She took a deep breath, trying to clear her mind. She tried to connect with the feeling of the forest, to listen to its true sounds. Suddenly, she heard a new sound, different from the constant whispering of the wind. It was a soft, rhythmic tap, 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 coming from somewhere nearby. It was a very distinct sound, not natural. It sounded like someone hammering, or perhaps a woodpecker, but too regular for a bird. Curiosity, mixed with a sliver of hope, pulled her in its direction. It was a small, almost imperceptible sound, but in the overwhelming silence of the forest, it felt like a beacon. It was a sign of intelligent life, a potential way out. She carefully followed the sound, moving slowly through the undergrowth. The tapping became clearer, closer. After a few minutes, she broke through a thick curtain of ivy and found herself in a small, hidden clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a tiny old wooden cabin, almost completely hidden by trees. A faint light glowed from its window, and outside, on a small wooden bench, sat an old woman, carefully carving a small wooden bird with a sharp knife. The tapping sound was her knife working on the wood. The old woman looked up as Elara emerged, her face kind and calm. She had deep, knowing eyes that seemed to understand everything. "Well, hello there, young lady,"
the old woman said, her voice soft and gentle, like the rustling leaves. "You look a little lost." Ilara explained her situation. I think I followed the wrong path. I was looking for the waterfall." The old woman smiled. "The Whispering Woods has a way of showing you different paths than the one you set out on," she said. "Come inside. It's cold out here. My name is Willow, and you are welcome here." Ilara gratefully stepped into the warm, cozy cabin. The air smelled of wood smoke, herbs, and something sweet like freshly baked bread. Inside, the cabin was simple but comforting, filled with hand-carved wooden figurines, dried herbs hanging from the ceiling, and a small, crackling fireplace. Willow offered Ilara hot tea and a warm piece of bread. They talked for hours. Willow told stories of the forest, of its hidden paths and secret places. She spoke about living simply, about listening to the quiet wisdom of nature, and about trusting your inner compass when the outer one fails. She explained that the waterfall Ilara was looking for was not on any obvious path, but required listening to the subtle shifts in the wind and the flow of water deep underground. The forest doesn't give up its secrets easily, but it always provides a way for those who truly listen. She also shared her own life story, how she had once been lost in her own way and found her path by learning to trust her intuition. Ilara felt a deep sense of peace and understanding while listening to Willow. It was as if Willow was speaking directly to the deeper questions in Ilara's own life. She remembered her struggle with decisions, her feeling of being unsure of her path. Willow's words about trusting inner wisdom resonated deeply with her. It was a profound lesson in self-discovery, similar to the powerful life-altering insights she sometimes found in the more philosophical podcast English stories. The next morning, the sun shone brightly. The air was crisp and clear. Willow prepared a simple breakfast and gave Ilara a small, intricately carved wooden bird. "This little bird," Willow said, "is a symbol of guidance. When you feel lost, hold it. Close your eyes. Listen. Your inner compass will show you the way." She then drew a simple map for Ilara, not of paths, but of natural markers, specific ancient trees, unique rock formations, and the sounds of distant streams. "These are the true signs of the woods," Ilara explained, "not the human paths that fade. Listen to the woods, Ilara. They whisper their secrets to those who have the patience to hear." Ilara thanked Willow profusely. She felt a newfound strength and clarity. She walked out of the cabin, no longer feeling panicked, but curious and ready to face the forest. She followed Willow's guidance, not looking for marked trails, but listening to the sounds of the streams, feeling the direction of the wind, and observing the patterns of the trees. She held the small wooden bird in her hand, finding comfort and a reminder of Willow's wisdom. She moved with a slower, more deliberate pace, taking time to observe her surroundings. She found the hidden waterfall. It wasn't grand or towering, but it was incredibly beautiful, a gentle cascade of water falling into a crystal-clear pool, surrounded by moss-covered rocks. It was a place of quiet magic, exactly as she had imagined. She sat there for a long time, listening to the gentle murmur of the water, feeling completely at peace. She realized that the journey of being lost had actually led her to a greater discovery, not just the waterfall, but a deeper understanding of herself and her own inner wisdom. The external path had been lost, but the internal path had been found. Ilara eventually found her way out of the Whispering Woods, not by following a marked trail, but by truly listening to the forest and trusting her own intuition. She carried the small wooden bird with her, a constant reminder of Willow's timeless advice. She returned to her city life, but she was changed. She was no longer as anxious about her future. She learned to slow down, to listen to her inner voice, and to trust her instincts. She realized that sometimes getting lost isn't a failure, but a necessary detour that leads you to new perspectives and deeper self-discovery. She applied this lesson to her English learning too, understanding that sometimes a lesson might feel lost, but persistent listening and trusting her learning instincts, especially with podcast English, would always lead her back to understanding. This story, The Whispering Woods and the Lost Path, offers several invaluable lessons that are perfect for your B1 English journey with podcast English. First, getting lost can lead to self-discovery. Ilara's physical journey mirrored her emotional one. In English learning, you might sometimes feel confused or overwhelmed. Embrace these moments. They are opportunities to reflect, try new strategies, and discover new ways of understanding that ultimately strengthen your skills. Second, the importance of inner guidance. When external maps fail, listening to your intuition becomes crucial. In English, develop your inner ear for the language. Trust your feeling for what sounds right, even if you can't explain the grammar rule yet. Consistent exposure through podcast English builds this intuition. Third, wisdom comes in unexpected forms. Willow, the old woman in the woods, offered profound advice. Be open to learning from everyone, regardless of their background. Every person, every story, especially those on podcast English, can offer a unique insight that helps you grow. Fourth, patience and observation are key in challenging situations. Ilara learned to slow down and observe the forest. When learning English, especially complex topics, take your time. Observe sentence structures, listen carefully to pronunciation, and notice how native speakers use words. Patience will lead to deeper understanding. Finally, nature offers profound lessons. The Whispering Woods taught Ilara about resilience and finding her way. Connect your English learning to your interests. If you love nature, find nature-themed stories or documentaries. This makes learning more enjoyable and memorable. And Podcast English is here to offer you diverse themes and challenges. Thank you for listening to The Whispering Woods and the Lost Path on Podcast English. I hope this story inspired you to trust your inner compass and to find strength in unexpected detours, both in your life and in your English learning journey. Remember, sometimes getting lost is just the beginning of finding your true path. If you enjoyed this adventurous story and want to hear more B1 English stories that inspire self-discovery and resilience, please give us a thumbs up. Your likes help us know what content you enjoy most and help other English learners find our channel. And please, subscribe to Podcast English for more captivating narratives, expanded vocabulary, and advanced tips for your English journey. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next story, our next lesson, our next opportunity to learn and grow together. We are so happy to have you here, walking your path and learning with us. See you next time, and keep listening to the whispers of wisdom.